recognise the continued connection to these lands and waterways, and extend this acknowledgement to the homeland and stories of those who also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders who have shared responsibilities for our place. I remind councillors and all those present that your image and what you say may be broadcast live to the public, so please be mindful of your actions and your comments. You should avoid making statements that might defame or offend. Note the recording of this meeting will be retained online and in council's archives. Please turn your mobile phone off or switch to silent. Filming and photography are not permitted in the meeting. Anyone observed the filming of the meeting to leave. Okay, are there any apologies? We have requests from Councillor McNamara, Councillor Stanton and Councillor Lamont as a non-member, Councillor McNamara as an alternate, to attend this meeting by audio-visual link in accordance with clause 6.21 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Therefore, I move the following procedural motion that they be included to attend. Do I have a seconder? There are a number of places. So, I'll put that all in favour. Unanimous. Thank you. Sorry, councillors. Councillor Stanton has just texted me with a last-minute apologies. So can that be noted? And therefore, Councillor McNamara will become a voting member as in attendance. Okay, we're now up to disclosure of interests. Has anyone got any disclosure of interest? Councillor Smith.
Chair, I'll just declare a significant interest on item 3.3, the Drive planning proposal, as I live in close proximity, and I will leave the room for the presentation and when the matter is considered. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Any other disclosures? No. A motion that disclosure be acknowledged? Or no? No, it's not run sheet, so it's been recorded, so that's fine. Comes in, I think. I think the director's agreeing with me.
Is that the motion?
Yeah, it would. There's one of the members not attending.
We don't need a motion. Is that what you're saying? We don't need a motion to include John as the alternate.
In some previous committees where because sometimes there can be more than one person that can fill a vacancy, we do actually roll that way to ensure the clarity about who can vote.
I'm happy to put it in if you want it.
Thinking about the difficulties I had with Councillor McGregor sit in for me, so I
start with saying yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll move a motion that Councillor McNamara be acknowledged as a voting member of tonight's meeting, seconded by Councillor Merlin. All those in favour? Yes, thank you. Okay, the minutes of the previous. That's right, minutes of the previous meeting. Recommendation there, the committee confirms the minutes of the previous meeting. You want to move that?
Chair, I'd like to just in the minutes, I was only there for part of the meeting. I don't think the minutes very accurately reflect that. And sorry if I've missed it, but if that could just be recorded up front that, sorry, I don't recall the detail, the time I left and which items I was there for and which wasn't, just so that it's very clear. And my second point, Chair, is I thought I, at the meeting, requested that a foreshadow be recorded in the minutes, and I can recall spending quite a bit of time with the director assisting getting that wording right, and that doesn't appear in the minutes. So could I just request that that's stored, or it's documented somewhere?
Happy if I don't have any recollection of it, but I'm not by any means saying that you're not correct, Councillor Smith.
The conservation plan, I think.
Oh, okay.
Shadowed some motion expressing disgust and,
I think so, yeah.
and horror and objection.
I remember that.
Words were slightly better than that.
I do recall that now, Councillor Smith, yes. So yes,
Well, but,
so you want to move the minutes with those two?
Yep, so amended, just noting councillor Smith's absence and, so partial absence of where he voted or on it he was present for. And the second one, amended to include the foreshadowed motion conservation plan, and I think it'll be in video recording somewhere. Thank you.
Seconder for that? Seconded by councillor Welsh. Any discussion? Put it, all those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you. Okay, items resolved by exception. 2.1, we'll just go through them. 2.1, we have presenters on, so we're obviously going to have that. 3.1, wasn't sure we needed to deal with that. Anyone different view?
I just have a question for it. I don't have any particular objection, but we did start for a quick question. Please.
Consultant report on DA, I've got minor changes to that. We've got a presenter on. East Gosford, planning proposal.
Sure you can start.
Nobody wants East Gosford? Coastal protection works at Wambrel. Anyone want that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Why not?
Why not? It's at every meeting we attend.
Would a meeting be without?
Be a meeting without that.
Arties Bay Foreshore Master Plan. I assume somebody's going to want that.
Yeah.
Hawkesbury being Coastal Management Program. Land of the Beaches Report.
Sure.
Draft terms of reference to heritage and culture.
Hang on, can we just get clarification? I think my colleague, you might be facetious.
Draft 3.9, draft terms and reference for heritage. Outcomes of heritage. View of heritage TCP, I've got that one anyhow. Mountain Road precinct investigations. Update.
Oh, I asked for that. But
You want that Mountain Road?
didn't I ask for that? Yeah.
I think it was Mountain Road.
Yeah. Okay.
No for Mountain Road. I'll come back to them and make sure we're all in agreement. State significant applications. Proposal statistics. And DA statistics, I've got a minor change, which I'm going to discuss with the director on that. So then I've got the ones to deal with by exception. 3.4, which is Carroll East Gosford. 312 Mountain Road, 313 state significant applications, 314 planning proposal statistics.
I'm happy to withdraw the recycle board.
You don't want it.
And 3.1. So 3.1, 3.4, 312, 13, 14, all by exception. We want to move that. Moved. Councillor Welsh, second, and Councillor Merland. I'll put that. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right. So we're on to the mountain biking. So looks like Pam, you're up first. And Mr. Lodi, yes, you're excused.
Thank you.
You mean this
Just already run out the door.
Out the door. He wasn't going to give me a chance to say no, any.
Should have told him.
Did check with him if you wanted to stay.
Right.
Go ahead when you're ready.
I did have a few slides. Have we got the slides?
Yeah, it's just slow.
And can we just have the first one?
You just got the clicker there to the right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You might need to point it over there.
Over there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Delayed. Oh, okay. Probably go to the last one then. Okay. Okay, I'm Pam McCann, Conservation Officer with the National Parks Association, the Central Coast Branch, or just MPA. MPA have been actively involved in the public consultation process to date for the development of the biking plan, a biking plan. We acknowledge that many people enjoy mountain biking and that council reserves are attractive locations, particularly Kincumber Mountain. We welcome truly environmentally sustainable mountain biking and wish for more people to love and care for our natural beauty without destroying that beauty. We are not opposed to the creation of limited, solidly constructed mountain biking trails in suitable areas, provided there is no environmental or cultural risk, nor impact on other users. We support a rigorous scientific assessment of land suitability for this purpose. Focusing on Kincumber Mountain for a minute, it has become a very popular mountain biking park rather than treasured Cosland. There has been a lack of respect for the Kincumber Mountain Plan of Management for many years. A fact, Council's mountain biking feasibility study identified in 2020 the feasibility study in 2020 identified 17 illegal trails at Kincumber Mountain, and now it is 51, totaling 25 kilometres in length. That's a threefold increase in illegal trails in 5 years. This is a disaster. Ideally, Cosland such as Kincumber Mountain would be excluded from the assessment for a mountain biking plan due to the dedicated conservation objectives and sensitive, rich nature of the area. Death by 1,000 cuts has been occurring for many years, and we must stop this attitude of entitlement. Please remember, this is distressing to many in your community. The maze of current illegal trails within Kincumber Reserve is shown in the overhead. I've tried to draw on the boundary, and it could be a little bit wonky in places. That's pretty much it. You can see how much of the reserve is impacted. Council has been negligent in their duty to uphold the Kincumber Plan of Management for many years. Now, specific feedback on the proposed methodology. We have a number of specific recommendations. All of them are modest and achievable, I believe. Step 1, in the vision, scope and definition. The vision should be expanded from how extensive the mountain bike plan will be across the coast. The plan is also to achieve stopping further construction of illegal trails and to remediate the damage that has been caused. We recommend to include a commitment to the protection of the environment and cultural heritage and recognition of the extensive damage in the vision. That's all of my recommendations together. Step 2 is the stakeholder working group. We recommend the initial working group be well resourced and remain in place until all illegal trails have been closed and remediated, plus an ongoing stakeholder working group with the same group of representatives, the three groups, for surveillance, maintenance, compliance, and request for new trails. Step 4, the land and trail assessment criteria. The development strategy needs to start with a landscape scale capacity assessment that considers soil types, landforms, natural and cultural heritage. Avoidance of erodible soils and high slopes are particularly important. It needs to be recognised that there will be lots of places where tracks simply cannot provide a durable surface for biking. Item 4.1 in that detailed list excludes reference to existing plans of management. The Kincumber Plan of Management is an important guiding document, and we recommend the Kincumber Mountain plan of management and any other bushland POMs be included. Step 9, development of documents and programs. We have 4 recommendations here. Any reference to closing trails needs to also include remediation. And that's in clause 9B1 and 9D2. Clause 9C3, the statement should reflect that mountain biking is a legitimate activity on authorised trails in reserves, not just a legitimate activity. Add a new point to 9C, bushwalking and other passive activities are legitimate activities in council reserves, etc., as above. Add new item to 9D, which involves the funding. Post-construction monitoring of ground surface conditions and threatened fauna, flora and cultural sites included. Overall, we recommend the development of sustainable management and financial models in the plan prior to the construction of any new trails. The public have a lack of confidence of council managing, implementing and maintaining professionally designed and built trails to a standard that has no adverse effect on sensitive areas. Financially, council is unable to carry out its primary responsibility with the reserves, so it is essential to have a realistic model prior to any construction of new trails. It cannot just be more trails constructed on top of the massive number of illegal trails. I'll just leave you with a few photos last year. They get expanded in width. Some root damage. That's not my action shot. It's erosion, destruction of all sorts of things everywhere, and it's certainly a dangerous mix when we're all together. Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity to present this evening.
Stay there, Pam. Let's just see if there's any questions.
Thank you very much for that. I'm just wondering, with your presentation, particularly that last slide where you had the detailed numbers,
The actual recommendations.
Sorry, my brain's going. I think it must be Christmas. So is that something that you can make available to us, or has the chair already got a copy? Or
No, but I agree that we would get it and we would circulate it.
oh, excellent! Thank you, because that would be really useful. Yeah, thanks very much.
Mr. Walsh.
Interested in what specific mechanisms could exist to actually address what is clearly a compliance issue, and do you have any understanding of? And that's really quite devastating. So I'm from Gosford East Ward and live nearby Kincumber Mountain. So yeah, it's all very precious, and it's just really slipping away in terms of any kind of respect for what is precious there. So do you have any specific, other than what you presented to us, in terms of? I feel like we've all got to this. Let's not get these people offside. Like, so what I'm hearing is your recognition of the activity as important and should be supported, and I would agree with that, but not under these conditions.
Well, the existing rules need to be enforced, and that involves signage, which is clearly. There needs to be a ranger that actually goes out and enforces the rules. But if there is a well-designed, constructed trails that people respect, then a lot of those problems will go away too.
Do you see a future where it can be kind of cooperation and agreement and collaboration on what's,
Yes,
okay,
but we are,
that's hopeful.
we don't object, but we do not want the likes of Kincumber Mountain to become a mountain biking park. It is COS land, and the conservation objectives need to be acknowledged and respected by everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Councillor Millen?
Hi Pam, really good to see you again.
Nice to see you, John.
Pam, can you just go back to that map? I think it was on slide 2.
Sorry.
It looks like a bit of a ski run, rain runs. Was that?
You'd have to ask Jonathan what they mean.
So that map comes from a mountain biking app called Trail Forks that's used worldwide and maps mountain biking and walking trails all around the world. And those colours, like a ski trail map, signify trail difficulty essentially. There's no sort of universal metric or matrix that's used to do that. That's sort of input by the people who add the trails to that Trail Forks app.
No, thanks. I just haven't seen that before.
They're all illegal trails?
They're in Kincumber Mountain, yes.
Trails.
But anybody in the world can look at the app and
Yes.
it's looking good down there in Kincumber. I'll pop down there.
Any other questions?
Up here, John and Corinne.
Oh, yes, John, thank you. And Councillor Mott, I'll come to you next.
Thank you. It's a little bit to do with the legal and illegal. You talked about illegal, but are there any legal trails on that map?
There are no legal mountain bike trails provided by Central Coast Council. Not a single meter.
Fire trails.
I would argue that fire trails are not mountain bike.
No, but they allow mountain bikes.
Yes.
So, sorry, mountain bikes allowed in some areas? Did
On
you
that
say?
map, on the council managed fire trails, they are allowed, as far as I understand.
Which are they?
Can I,
Yeah,
can I ask John and Clara?
Yeah, that's what I want to clarify. If they're allowed somewhere, can we get an updated map that shows where they're legally allowed?
Does he mean?
I think it's the trails that are highlighted in purple. Just sort of from my sort of knowledge would be the fire trails where mountain bikes are permitted.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Mott.
Thank you. Just a question regarding now we know that there are actually legal trails or trails that you're allowed to ride on. I'm just wondering, liability-wise, like if council actually is aware of these trails being up there, where do we stand liability-wise if something happens, like insurance or anything like that? If anyone has an accident, if we're sort of aware of people riding up there, is there any liability issues for council in that respect?
I don't think you've got the right people here, Councillor. I'm happy to give you an answer, but I'm not an expert, a lawyer in terms of that injury. But I think it's the Civil Liability Act that basically pretty much makes it very difficult to sue councils for, engaging in what is inherently dangerous activities.
Even though we're aware of it and we're aware of the tracks and everything, it's sort of
I
fine.
think that's very debatable.
We're not encouraging it as per se, I think. Anyhow, but we'd have to take that on notice if you want to.
Yeah, can we
forward.
take it on notice? Like, I think that's probably an important issue.
Yep. Yes, Councillor Ward.
Yeah, Chair, I would ask for to be added to Councillor Mott's point around, what if that accident happened between a mountain biker and a walker? So, somebody who's allowed to be there and somebody who's not allowed to be there, what might be the implications of that type of thing?
If I may, those trails are not legal for anyone to use.
Okay.
So walkers would not be permitted on them either,
So those,
aside from the fire trails.
okay.
Interesting.
So,
Any more questions for Pam?
There are a number
There
of
are-
trails, and I've certainly had mountain bikers go past when I've been there with school groups.
Yes, but I'm talking about those trails that are highlighted on the map, purpose-built mountain biking trails, again, unauthorised, but they're not authorised for walkers either.
Okay, and the walking trails that are used and unauthorised mountain biking either.
Yes.
That clarifies that. All right, thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Jonathan, over to you.
I'll wait for it to come up. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Central Coast Mountain Bike Trail Alliance. We're an informal group that represents thousands of riders in the Central Coast mountain bike community. My name's Jonathan Curtis, and basically we're a loose coalition of riders that have gotten together to sort of form a liaison with land managers like council to deal with these sorts of things as they develop in the community. So the mountain biking community is made up of people from all walks of life, kids, women, men, grandparents. We even have national and world champions in sort of professional mountain biking in our community. And more people join that community as mountain biking grows, and people discover the joys of connecting with nature, particularly that is offered on the Central Coast on their bikes. So we're sort of a diverse group, and there's lots of different people who enjoy riding their bikes in the bush. I've got a similar map to Pam had. It's a little bit sort of further out, but again, it's taken from the Trail Forks app. And so despite the efforts of the mountain biking community over about the last 25 years to work with local land managers, as I said before, Central Coast Council has not provided a single metre of purpose-built mountain bike trails. So to fill this void over that 25-year period, local riders have created a network of what I would argue are for the most part well-built but unauthorised trails, partly in areas of council-managed bushland, and as you can see on the map on the slide. And so that trail network offers progressive riding experiences from green beginner trails where novices can develop skills, all the way through to challenging technical trails for advanced and expert riders, as I said, including professionals, even world champions who use those trails for training. Nonetheless, the purpose of this presentation tonight is not to discuss the need for mountain bike trails. That's been clearly established through things like the feasibility study that was conducted a number of years ago now, nor is it to discuss the suitability of mountain bike trails in bushland and areas of ecological sensitivity and cultural heritage. Again, this sort of thing has been clearly established in scientific and social research, which I'd be happy to share with the committee, and reflected in countless examples around Australia and other LGAs. So instead tonight, I would like to speak directly to what we as the mountain biking community recognise as significant faults in the proposed methodology provided by council staff. Ultimately, that proposed methodology is not viable and will not succeed in its goals of establishing a sustainable trail network to meet demand and simultaneously support conservation of the environment and the protection of cultural heritage. So we recognise that unauthorised trails have the potential to, and I stress potential, to damage the environment, but this is not an inherent property of them. I'd encourage members of the committee to visit some of the trails that we've seen in that map and see for themselves the quality of their construction, although I would question Pam's figure of 51 trails on Kincumber Mountain. I would definitely argue it's not 51 trails.
That's what Trail Forks
said. Nonetheless, detractors of mountain biking use the unauthorised status of trails to discredit riders and misrepresent the situation without recognising how well built, designed and managed trails can produce better outcomes for the conservation of the environment and riders alike. So, for example, that sort of erosion and those sorts of things that we saw in the photos that Pam put up are the result of these trails being unmanaged. So in a managed trail network, an authorised trail network, there's the ability to close them in periods of wet weather where that sort of erosion takes place to stop riders from riding them and that sort of thing. And we see that being done successfully in all sorts of different LGAs. We can see that in Ourimbah State Forest at the Ourimbah Bike Park. And again, there are lots of examples of where those sorts of good outcomes for riders and the environment and cultural heritage have been achieved. Any efforts to establish an authorised network must offer an equivalent or better trail experience than the existing unauthorised network presents. When this is achieved, examples show us that the drivers of unauthorised trail use are removed, but when it is not, those drivers remain and riders continue to seek experiences that are not provided for. So we have to get an authorised trail network that provides that fulfilling trail experience that this unauthorised network is currently doing. So with this in mind, we firmly believe that a trail building consultant must be the primary driver of planning and assessment of the trail network. It's not possible for a viable plan to be formulated without the professional expertise and experience that a qualified trail builder offers, as council staff simply do not have the skills, knowledge or expertise to firstly assess trails for suitability and sustainability, recommend suitable engineering solutions to mitigate environmental damage and cultural heritage issues, to accurately grade or categorise mountain bike trails, nor to identify what a functioning trail network looks like in reality. As such, we believe that the first stage of the mountain bike project, the first stage of the mountain bike project should be a request for tender for mountain bike trail consultants, with project outcomes being identified as mapping all trails in the existing unauthorised network, assessing those trails for sustainability and grading, along with other areas for alternative trails, formulating a trail network that is functional and progressive so as to cater to all rider levels from beginner to expert, use council tools and staff knowledge to locate trail corridors and areas of environmental sensitivity, use a working group that consists of mountain bike representatives from mountain bike community, environmental groups, Indigenous groups, tourism, sport and recreation, and other land tenures to assist in guiding the trail network to ensure environmental and cultural sustainability while also meeting the needs of the mountain bike community. And finally, to provide tender-ready costings for construction. By focusing on these points, a Central Coast Mountain Plan has the potential to be successful in meeting the needs of riders while also adhering to conservation and cultural heritage values by reducing the drivers of unauthorised trail building and usage. These amendments also reduce the need for further community consultation, which has already been quite extensive, for example, the feasibility study, and is expensive and would only serve to re-establish that existing data, further stoke community division and increase the workloads of council staff. We ask that the proposed procedure and methodology be rejected and call for the amendments we have proposed to be made. The Trail Alliance is more than willing to offer our time to assist with this and look forward to working with the council to achieve a sensible, evidence-based and sustainable mountain bike plan for the Central Coast. Thank you for your time and happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Jonathan. Questions?
Sorry,
Councillor Neal, nobody else saying anything at the moment? Yes.
you said that the have been constructed. Who constructed them?
Individuals in the community. There's no organisation. It's just groups of people who.
If someone comes along with spades, cement, I mean, what sort of material is being used there?
It's generally when a mountain bike trail is constructed, most of the time it involves sort of following the natural contours and features on the landscape. Some like removal of debris, very limited removal of actual vegetation. Like if you go to these trails, you'll see that the canopy's preserved. Most often they're no more than a metre wide. And very rarely are sort of foreign materials introduced as part of that construction. There are instances where it has been the case, but there's no sort of uniformity to it.
So what's the construction? What do they use to flatten? I don't really understand how they're constructed.
They chop trees down sometimes.
I would disagree with that assessment.
Well, there have been trees that can come out and chop down from that.
There's been trees that have fallen across trails that have been sort of removed from the trail, but I do not have any personal experience of trees being chopped down.
That bit that's gone through the rainforest, haven't there been steps put in there?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm sorry, councillor.
So you don't acknowledge the mountain biking trail through endangered communities over rock engravings, the cutting down.
As I said, unauthorised trails have the potential to damage the environment.
But you're not acknowledging them.
I'm doing that right now, I believe. I accept that that is a potential outcome. I do not know the specific trails that you're referring to, but all of those things can be mitigated against with proper design, construction and maintenance. There are engineering solutions that have been used in other LGAs right around Australia to deal with those sorts of problems quite successfully.
So you've been over Kincumber Mountain?
Yes.
Trails?
Yes.
Yeah, haven't seen anything I've just mentioned.
I don't know specifically what you're referring to.
Councillor Smith, I think you've asked that a few times.
Well,
I feel like I've answered that question.
Thanks.
yeah.
Yes, Councillor Milland.
Just a question. So there's other areas around Australia, like Derby down in Tasmania, that seem to manage this quite well. Are you familiar with what's happening? Yeah, it's forestry, but it's still the environment.
No, but it's not protected for environmental purpose.
If people, but the question I'm asking is, they seem to strike that balance between preserving the environment down there and having a thriving tourism and recreational community. So
absolutely, there's even examples close at home. So, for instance, in Glenrock State Conservation Area up in Newcastle, there was a similar situation there with unauthorised trails that have since gone through the process of being sort of authorised and looked at. And part of the management and construction and maintenance of those trails involves replanting of native flora, the establishment of habitat for native species, and these sorts of things. So ultimately, when these sorts of things are done properly, following best practices, it produces good outcomes that remove and mitigate against those sorts of problems that we've discussed tonight.
So if council did have its own trails, are you saying or inferring that the trails wouldn't just organically appear?
As long as they provided a similar sort of trail experience to these sorts of ones. And we've seen that happen even in Ourimbah State Forest, where there is the authorised Ourimbah Mountain Bike Park. Prior to that being authorised, there was all sorts of unauthorised trails there. Since that the mountain bike park has been established and professional trail builders have been brought on board to develop the trails there, maintain them, account for things like environmental protections and cultural heritage and that sort of stuff, there's no unauthorised trail construction in Ourimbah State Forest.
No longer a rider, but I understand it was up at Ourimbah, there was working bees, there was...
Absolutely. There's lots of examples of that sort of volunteer stewardship of trails. A really good example that the committee might like to learn more about is called Jindabyne Trail Stewardship, which happens down in the Snowy Mountains. There's a significant network of trails around the town of Jindabyne that's entirely managed by the local riding community in quite an organised way. I believe that there's sort of training that people get accredited with that then enables them to go and sort of work on the trails in like you say, working bees and trail management days and that sort of stuff.
So the mountain bikers who have created the unauthorised trails on Kincumber Mountain, I mean, surely they all know the sensitivities of Kincumber Mountain. And so,
I couldn't speak to them over it.
But like, can't understand how they wouldn't know. So what explains them developing these unauthorised trails in the face of COS lands, and sensitive lands?
As I said before, because for 25 years, as mountain biking has really grown as a sport, Central Coast Council hasn't provided a single metre of purpose-built mountain bike trail. As we discussed before, there's fire trails, but I would argue that that doesn't constitute mountain biking.
I understand that and I respect that, but can you understand how some of us might feel, well, heck, why they
No, absolutely, and that's why, as the Trail Alliance and the broader mountain biking community, I obviously can't speak for every single person who rides a mountain bike, but we want to see this done properly to avoid those sorts of issues. Because at the end of the day, a really inherent part of what we do as riders is connect with the bush. We like being in nature. And a lot of people live on the Central Coast as mountain bikers, at least partly because of the bushland that's here. And we'd like to see it managed properly and allow us to connect with it in a way that makes sense to us, just like people who bushwalk connect with it through bushwalking. And I appreciate that that might not be sort of immediately understandable for people who don't ride a bike in the bush. But it's worth considering that there are different ways that people sort of form those connections and appreciate things in that sort of way. And mountain biking around the world is something that takes place in the natural environment like we have on the Central Coast. So it's not unique.
That's enough. Thank you, Jonathan.
Can I just, are you
The
looking
last question, because we've got to move.
at any other locations that are outside the coastlands?
I don't believe, I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's not my responsibility to look at other locations.
Are they considering any other locations outside coastlands?
Who considering? I don't quite understand the premise of the question. I'm sorry.
Speaking on behalf of the Bike Alliance.
Yes, we're an informal group that represents the community to the council. We don't organise trail building or anything like that. I don't personally know people who build trails.
Sure. Yeah. So you're here making an argument for trails in coastlands. So I'm saying
I'm here making an argument for a viable Central Coast mountain biking.
Oh, so it could be outside coastlands. You'd be happy with that if there was.
If it was to provide the same sort of trail experience that the current unauthorised network provides.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me, Chair. Just have a right of reply.
No. We're out of time.
Yeah, can I just move that we just get...
No.
No, I think it's fair and reasonable. Fair and reasonable.
Well, then Jonathan gets a right reply. And where's the stop?
Pam did. Pam, what did you have to say?
It's their fault. No, we're not doing that. Sorry, that's it. The questions are finished. Sorry, the presenters are finished. So there's a motion recommended from the staff, which is to note the information. A mover for that? No.
Move an amendment.
Hang on.
I'm having to move the motion.
Moved by Councillor Merlin, seconded by the Mayor. You want to speak to it, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Castles.
Interested to hear the amendments.
Yeah, I have an amendment. I'd like to propose that we remove item 2, delete, and instead we say was to this effect, recommends that council delays proceeding with the Central Coast Mountain Biking Plan and reviews the methodology for the development of the plan and its implementation.
There's
Amendment, I move that.
Is there a seconder for that? Second. By Councillor Walsh. Councillor Castles, can you maybe go and talk?
Yes.
Get the wording.
I have, but whether you can read it or not. Beautiful. Just yell if you can't read my terrible writing.
So, Chair, can I also ask that we do try and broaden it out to considering land outside COS? I know it might not be council land, but, I think we are all keen to get a solution.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, we are all keen to get a solution. I think there's just a desire for it not to be impacting COS. So, so it would be good to just broaden it out. I know there's probably not as much scope as we'd like, but I think if we're just considering a broader.
If I could just clarify, Councillor, the plan's not exclusive to the COS lands.
Yes.
Oh, so that,
Does it include discussions about non-council land? Could it expand?
Non-council land?
The way that I'm seeing this is specifically council land, and it's not just.
So in this case, it's just council land, but it's not just COS land.
Okay, so council land, but not just COS land.
At the moment, but obviously we may be revising that methodology.
Councillor Merland.
I know I'll move the motion, but in consideration of the amendment and the discussion, I'd like to see the matter deferred for more discussion or to come back to this committee.
So you're withdrawing your original motion and instead moving deferral.
How do you see that discussion happening?
Hang on, we'll get a second to them. I'm happy to. Second by the mayor, thank you.
So is that
So withdraw, so that first motion's been withdrawn.
The original motion.
Yeah, and now it comes,
place proceeding?
Yeah.
no, instead of that, I think, councillor Castles, you're going to be happy with that, deferring it? I haven't got it up yet.
It's kind of,
It's similar, yes.
Well,
I think we're both saying the same thing, but
so what you're suggesting is that basically delay
don't deal with it tonight.
and don't deal with it tonight and bring it back to this committee. Is that what you're
as
saying?
panel members, we can provide feedback to the director.
Have a workshop.
Additional information that we'd like to.
Before.
Well-
Before the 31st of September.
We can probably have one more.
We better be quick.
If you want to, like,
We've got a special meeting.
we could add a sort of your bit on the end of there somehow, perhaps recommends that councillor Lee's proceeding with.
Well, then we can have that, and then why don't we, oh, okay.
Put the other bit back.
And you want the instant.
Recommend the committee.
No, we, that's good. Councillor, with councillor
While we're debating, yes.
then we're going to have another speak.
Okay, we go for it.
Because the forestry land is up north, is the focus on something down south? Is that one of the driving considerations?
I mean, we have no particular preference, so to speak. Like these trails, ultimately, we would like accessibility for the whole Central Coast. And like you say, Rimba Mountain Bike Park is towards the north, and sort of that does preclude sort of easy access for a broad swathe of the community. But yeah, like I said, we sort of, our preference is for an authorised trail network that provides a like-for-like experience to that of the unauthorised one that's currently in existence.
We don't know, it's not an easy thing to achieve, but as long as just to understand what.
Does the consideration given to these areas in state forests?
Harry, to answer that question.
This methodology talks about council land. I can see that the next step is to consider all the mountain biking approaches that the various agencies, state forests, national parks, what they take, and then develop our strategy for the Central Coast. So I'm seeing this methodology just for the council land. But it's an consideration.
Well, it's just, yeah.
No generally.
No,
It's that if we're looking at trails, state forests, that's often the area that you already don't have much less urban content, less environmentally sensitive, I'm sure. Maybe something that the committee can look at.
So I've suggested it through that the further report come to the next meeting, which will be February.
Yeah.
But do we want to have a special meeting, for instance?
Is there any urgency? Director?
Oh, no, I mean, if we can come back with a revised methodology in
Yes.
February, that was what the.
The issue is, of course, how many more trails will there be on, unauthorised trails will there be on Fincumber Mountain by then? So
Yeah, we definitely come back with the methodology in February, and then we've got funding this financial year and next financial year. So obviously it's getting a little bit tighter for the part this year, but I think we could still do it.
okay,
All right, so that's the three that's been added. Are we all, everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Good, then, all those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you. Okay, we're done with 3.1, so the next one is 3.2, the consultant's report on the improvement update. I have made a couple of recommended minor changes.
What are they?
which I'll go through. So it's changes to the attachment, and two of them are simply removing the word in principle where the recommendation is. Got to bring it up.
I'm having a second.
So it's pre-lodgement 2, establish a formal procedure that prioritises the attendance of DA planners like to assess the DA pre-lodgement meeting stage. And the comment from staff was it supported in principle, so all I'm saying is take out the words in principle, so it's supported. I think that's an important principle that should be supported. I have discussed all these, by the way, all these with the director, and be happy to ask him for his comments on it. The next one is develop a self-help DA portal. And what I'm saying for that is do that, but do that by way of AI. A number of AI programs now becoming available that do this thing. So in other words, a applicant can use the AI system, and it'll actually tell you everything you need to do. So it's exactly the same as what is proposed. It's just a more modern and progressive way of doing it. And there's about 3 or 4 systems available now. And the director, we're hoping to get one of them to come and demonstrate to the committee in the near future. And the final amendment.
Sorry, is that a chatbot just for planning?
It's
Is it?
not a chatbot per se.
It is a tool. It will be a chatbot, certainly.
No, I think there's come a long ways to show.
I think that's what they're doing. What's happening now?
Give you a basic explanation, because it was at the local government conference. I don't know if you saw it, one of them.
What I was going to say, just before we go on, is that with the changes to the whole big system at council, they're also introduced AI, so it may be difficult to use AI for just one bit prior to changing over everything.
These are specialised programs.
I know they're specialised.
I mean, it's not specific about how it's done. It's just saying use an AI program. And the final one was define clear application processing. So basically put in KPIs for how many DAs need to be put through in a month or a year. And again, it just says supported in principle. I think that's just got to be.
Don't we have that already in terms of our?
Obviously not.
No, we do. We have an objective in terms of
Well, this has come from the consultant, and it's number 18 on
we had that.
I think it's clear KPIs right through.
Define clear application processing expectations.
There's certainly a KPI in the CEO's.
Yes, there is at that level, but that's.
Is that not?
That's actually about times and LDAs.
The KPIs right through the process.
For each section of the.
So the presentation, I thought it was a really good presentation by the consultant. Yeah. And they were pretty clear the KPIs right through the process.
So for each section of it,
or each component is probably a better.
And what of each individual DA or as a group
system?
So, for instance, on that last one, we're currently, I think, Mr. Rosnell could correct me, I'm happy for him to do so. I think we did about 140 or so DAs, 150 maybe in
something like
September. Yeah. And on the current rate of applications, we do 200 a month to actually make some slight inroad. We're getting about 2,200. Looks like we're on track to get 2,200 DAs this year.
Is that more than the previous year?
Yeah, it's gone up.
Applications are up over the last 6 months quite significantly.
Because they think they'll never get dealt with them.
No, look, there's a whole lot of things. I mean, fundamentally driven by economics, what happens with interest rates, and it continually surprises me. Things happen.
So you think the increase in DAs is commensurate with every other local government area? It's not to the central government?
I'm not actually sure, to be honest, but that analysis. And back to the KPIs issue, if I could just add on that, I think Councillor Millen was right about that
reviewing the KPIs across all the various components of the DA. So it comes in, there's admin component, there's advertising, it'll go to
When you get off.
development engineer, it'll go out to,
You'll at the moment, the KPIs just the overall.
On their results.
Yes.
there are, yeah.
And by not having KPIs right through the system, you don't know when the system's breaking.
Yeah, where the problem.
Where the weak points.
I think that was part of the review process.
All right.
The whole process.
Sorry for the delay, they're just getting the words up, yeah. I'm sorry, I did send that through a while ago, so I thought we had that organised.
Which one's being altered? Which recommended, which part?
So what we're,
So I did go through them, but
we've just got them up. You can see that there's a fourth dot point there that
Principle.
Support, change to support in concept, but adopt
That's consistent with
AI solution.
changes we made in regards.
Can we say consider emerging AI because we're adopting something we don't know anything about?
Point 5.
Rather than adopt. Okay.
I suppose so. I mean, it's there, but yeah, I guess it doesn't make any difference.
Be my preference.
Change to considering support emerging DA, emerging say AI.
Consider emerging AI solutions. So, I mean, the staff are better equipped to just confirm that the AI meets their needs rather than us just say adopt it.
That's fine. I mean, the change here is actually a bit significant in that what the Department of Planning Consultants are saying is basically have checklists and stuff like this. So like old system stuff. And this is saying, well, yeah, we agree that we need to go to a system like that, but, an AI-enabled system is going to be much more practical and efficient.
This is the report that had the Newcastle Council stuff in it as well.
Well, that's separate again, but it is covered a bit in.
Improvement in performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see.
All right, yes, thank you. So moved by me, seconded by Councillor Merlin. And happy if the director wants to comment.
No, except that point 2 there, councillors, change supporting principle and support. That one relates to pre-lodgement. We just didn't include the word in it, but it relates to the pre-lodgement processes. I've reviewed them. I think the changes are appropriate.
All right, any further discussion? I'll put it all those in favour. Thank you, unanimous. So we're on to Terrigal, I think. Let's Terrigal, got somebody to talk to from Terrigal?
Just a moment, councillor.
Yeah.
Mason Councillor Smith have declared a conflict.
He's working around me.
Yep.
So councillors just asked the manager of strategic planning to just provide a brief overview. It's been a planning proposal that's been around for a while, so we thought we'd just give you a little bit of a summary of it.
It's very shorter time. I'll just start before that presentation comes up. So a planning proposal for 310 Terrigal Drive has recently come off exhibition, and this is just the report that goes through some of the history of the planning proposal and outcomes of public exhibition. Been around for a little while, and so originally came to City Council, and it was proposed to be a larger development. Council's worked with the applicant to reduce the height of the development.
This is one that's flood prone. It's a terrace. Very flood prone.
Not flying. Yeah, so the proposal went through the local planning panel, and the height was reduced. And then it went to council, and council resolved for the planning proposal to continue and go to gateway. Through the gateway process, the Department of Planning determined that it didn't meet flooding requirements and subsequently refused it at the gateway determination stage. The applicant lodged a rezoning review, and the Independent Planning Commission determined that it actually did comply with all of the relevant controls. Due to the site being, I guess, unusual in shape, we did seek very detailed plans and concepts from the applicant to make sure that the proposed development was out of the flood area, was able to be developed on site and did actually work. We didn't want to get to a point where the planning proposal was approved, but the actual development was unable to be constructed. So the proposal, as you can see, it's on the corner of Charles K and Terrigal Drive. There went out on public exhibition. We had 38 submissions, 24 in favour and 14 against. Some of the issues raised were traffic impacts. We've had council's traffic engineers and also Transport for New South Wales to have a look on the impact on the local and state road network, and both have come back that there'll be no impact if there is capacity in state and local roads, that the development's not sitting very well in character with the local area. So we did have the height reduced by 2 stories, made the proposal smaller and also restricted the amount of commercial development to make it sit better in the local area. It is one of the last remaining sites that is vacant in this area, so it's not setting a precedence. It's on its own on the opposite side of the road, and there isn't very many other vacant sites that could provide as much housing as this in the area. There's also a DCP for this site to ensure what we've seen at planning proposal stage, provide some guidance, and that will be delivered at the development application stage as well. So we've done a lot of detailed investigation of the site. So it's just coming here tonight to seek a resolution for us to be able to finalise the planning proposal.
All right, questions? You done? Sorry, you done, Chad?
Yes, I'm done.
Thank you. Questions?
But finalise.
So that the amendment will be made to council's LEP. So we'll send it back off to the Department of Planning.
So are we 100% convinced that there isn't going to be flooding issues here? I know the the area of land, I believe there is. We saw that there's a creek somewhere in the vicinity or on the land or whatever. There have been flooding issues. I have read the report, but those things still concern me in terms of the use of this land. Possible?
Yeah, the development as proposed at the plans that we've seen, yes, it stays out of the riparian area and flood zone. It'll be further assessed at the DA stage. Plan proposals do go through, they're not conditioned like a DA. So that's hence why there's a development control plan to make sure that those environmental impacts are considered and that development stays out of the riparian area in the flood zone and it's not flood affected.
Including issues around pollution on the site whilst the building's being built, etc.
Other questions? Councillor Walsh?
Thanks, Shannon. So some in the community have raised issues around shelter in place in terms of if there were flooding issues. And so can I get you to kind of expand on how that affect, like issues have been asked, particularly where there's mention of childcare centre, but also, somebody being injured or unwell during an episode of flooding, being advised to shelter in place, but actually shouldn't be sheltering in place because they're unwell and they need to get out of there. How does this affect what we're looking at here?
Yeah, the development will be designed to be out of the floodplain and have flood-free access, so people can get in and out. But given the scale of the building, there will be an opportunity to have safe shelter in place there too, but it'll be consideration for the development process.
So what about alternatives to shelter in place for those who need it?
Yeah, that'll be flood-free access in and out to make sure that if there is access, that the building is compromised, that people can get in and out if needed.
All right, thank you. Recommendation is there. Let's go ahead with it.
Somewhat concerning noise when the train about to come through.
That's the air conditioner time of the night. So
Moved by councillor Merlin, seconded by the Mayor. Discussion? Put it, all those in favour? Right, councillor McNamara, councillor McKenna, councillor Merlin, councillor Eaton against, councillor Walsh, councillor Castles. I declare the motion carried. Get councillor Smith back. We've dealt with Gosford, so we're on to, I think it's something to do about a war.
beach.
Something about a war on the beach. Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to get us started?
I could maybe.
Well, hang on, we need something on the table, so I'm happy to move the staff recommendation. Second for that. Second by councillor Merlin. At least we'll start the debate.
Councillors, so firstly, it's an assessment report that's been provided to the Secretariat of the Joint Regional Planning Panel. So it's not provided to councillors to make a decision on whether it's yes or no. That goes to the panel. Under and I suppose the second point is that in the assessment of it, council commissioned an independent group to do the assessment and also some independent input to that external planning group. So the report's been prepared independently of council. What happens under the regional planning panel's operational procedure is that, and I'll just read it out, an elected council may make a submission on a DA with the DA that is to be determined by the panel up to 7 days before the panel meeting. The elected council submission should not be prepared by persons involved in the assessment of the application, but could be prepared by another council officer or a consultant. And if council makes a submission, a staff representative or individual councillors may register to address the panel at the meeting to express the views of council. So really we've put it to council tonight to note, and there's no need for you to do any further action, but you may want to consider whether council wants to resolve or recommend to council to make a submission. And if that was the case, then we would go to council and propose that a submission be prepared. Our understanding is that the panel will consider it in February. So we've got until February to make that submission if you want to do one.
Just for the record, I'll declare a non-interest while I'm on the panel. I'm not on the panel for these applications, and neither is any other council representative on the panel for these applications. Because
It can't be.
No, I'm just.
That's fine.
I want to hear it from his mouth.
Because the chair of the panel determined it wasn't appropriate.
Because
that was her ruling. You'd have to ask her.
Patrick, have you been involved in any briefings? I thought there was a meeting record somewhere.
I'm just going to let them answer.
Not on these applications. Have been a couple of minor seawall applications that
So you have been in briefings on seawall applications?
Yes, but not these 3 applications.
Open to interpretation.
So it's been moved and seconded. The debate. Further debate?
Can I just clarify something with the director in terms of option for council to make some sort of submission? When that would be something that council would make a decision about? Is that how that works, director, or what's the go? Whether there would be some submission made or not, as the case might be.
If you wanted to recommend tonight that the council make a submission that would go to the ordinary meeting, then I would suggest that the wording is something like the council make a submission and the CEO be requested to to organise the preparation of a submission to be put back to council. And it would go to a council meeting for you to adopt that submission and going off to the panel. So that would likely happen in February.
Okay, so in other words, that's what I'm just trying to get the time framing of when that would happen if that was going to happen.
So tonight is
these minutes go to the January
meeting.
council meeting.
There's one on the 26th.
Correct.
Meeting.
They don't go there. There's not enough time to get them there.
Because we the agenda today.
If you want to suggest, if you want to make a submission, we can then organise for the submission, and then in February we'll be able to come back to council with what that submission is.
Councillor Lamont?
I personally, if I can say something, I personally wouldn't recommend that council puts any submission through, because I think the assessment reports that council has actually completed themselves that were done with Worley are pretty good and pretty thorough. And I don't think as councillors or as council we'd be able to add anything else to the assessment reports that have actually been submitted to the panel. So I think that it'd be pointless for councillors to consider putting any assessment through, any submissions through. But just going on that, we're being given the opportunity to put a submission through on this one. It is my understanding that we can do it with every DA that goes to the panel. So I'm just wondering why we haven't been notified of assessment reports on other for other DAs that have gone through you, Mr. Chair.
If I could ask the DA manager to answer that.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Councillor Mott, there was a specific request for these applications to come before council when the assessment was completed.
Yeah, that was me. That was actually me. But I think at the time I actually asked, one of the questions that I did ask was, are we given, like, from my understanding of the procedures with the regional panels, that opportunity to put submissions through applies with all DAs, not just this particular Seawall DA.
That is correct. So there is the provisions within the operational procedures for reports that have been completed to the regional planning panel to then be given to the elected councillors. That's not been the general practice of the council, but if the committee wanted to recommend that, then we could certainly move to a process where every time an assessment report is completed, we can table it at the committee and then the ordinary meeting.
Well, I think that'd help, because a lot of the time we don't know what goes through the panel. I'm one of the councillors that does actually look at what DAs are going through and where they're going, but I know other councillors would probably be interested. It's probably more I just think we should be able to see what's going through the regional panel and whether they're closing down or not soon. I think, do you do them for the local planning panel DAs as well, or is it just for regional?
The provisions for reporting to council is only for the regional planning panel.
Okay. Well, I don't know how the other councillors feel, but I know I can't vote on this issue, but I think we should be given every assessment report regardless of what it's for.
Yeah, councillors, I can assist with that in that the last item on the paper tonight, which is only the report on DA, but I'm suggesting, and again I've discussed it with the director, that we actually get a report on all DAs over $5 million, and that would include both local planning panel ones and, in general, at least large local planning panel ones and JRPP ones. So that would then enable you to then say, oh, well, we want to know more about this one. So that would, I think, address that issue.
That'd be appropriate place in the agenda.
The only thing is you're only given us a limited amount of time to actually put a submission through with the regional panel as well as council. So I'm just wondering whether it might be worth being notified before that, or just given the assessment report as soon as it's issued to the panel.
Let us ask how many we're talking about on a sort of regular basis.
Rough numbers. Yeah. The regional planning panel, around about 15 to 20 a year.
Oh, yeah.
And if I could add another to that, is that in the current regulatory
it's going to go
passed in the parliamentary bill recently, there is a proposal to abolish the regional planning.
Right.
The time frame for that is a little uncertain, but it's anticipated to be throughout next calendar year.
Yeah,
It's not in the next 5 minutes, that's for sure.
that's right. So I'll move that we receive assessment reports on DA's going with the regional panel.
The list.
I don't think you can do it out of this matter.
Yeah, I think it's probably better to do that.
I think add it to what I'm saying if you want at the end, but I don't think you can do it out of this particular this matter. It's not related to this matter.
That's reasonable.
Any other discussion? Not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Can I just ask one question? So are we
No.
looking at,
Councillor Mott,
sorry, I'm not voting. I'm just asking one question. Are we looking at voting on a submission from council on this?
Councillor Lamont, the debate has been closed because we are voting. So
I'm not debating. I'm just asking a question. That's all.
the debate is closed once I call for the vote.
Well, I'll just send someone a text and ask them if they can provide me with an answer. It's just a very simple answer, and I'm just trying to find out what was decided.
Cut off if you don't behave. Pay attention to what the chair is saying. Don't believe I'm acting in accordance with the rules and regulations. So again, I'll call for the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, Hardy's Bay foreshore. Item 3.6. There's no mover on that. The recommendation is there. Oh, we've lost Councillor Neal.
Yes, she's gone.
Yeah. Somebody want to move the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Councillor Smith. Is there any discussion on this item? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Uh, 2.7, sorry, 3.7. I keep Hawkesbury Independent Coastal Management Program. Recommendation is there. Want to move the recommendation? Councillor Merland.
Need a second.
Second, Councillor Castles. Any discussion? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Previous presentation.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Unanimous. Oh, sorry, Councillor Walsh.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Unanimous.
Quick one, wasn't it?
Okay, 3.8 State of the Beaches report. Recommendation denoted. Anybody want to move the recommendation? Yeah, Councillor, thank you, the ma'am. Councillor McKenna, I'll second. So we start debate.
There's no presentation or update or information.
No, it was just to basically make the report sort of available. And
Is this one that got a bit of media this morning?
Recently, I think it has, yes.
In particular.
What do I?
Yeah.
Different. Do you want to?
Oh, different thing, is it?
Overview.
Through you, Chairperson. I think the recent media has been about the Waterways Health Report card, which measures the ecological health of our waterways as opposed to the Beach Watch program, which measures the human health impacts. We'll may expect a report to the subcommittee on that in the next couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks over Christmas. Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. Right, thank you.
No further debate? All right, I'll put all those in favour. Carried unanimously. 0.9, terms of reference for the Heritage and Culture Committee. Oh, dear, you're right.
No, clearly not.
You got enough for it?
Fine.
do you want to, Shannon, do you want to just quickly an overview of what the councillors need to do for this?
To you, Mr. Chair. So we have put the draft terms of reference in for the committee's review and consideration, and then the recommendation is that if it council, subcommittee chair, councillor members to the committee, and then we'll go out for an EOI to get interested community groups and individuals to become part of the advisory committee. And once the EOI is finished, we'll report that back to the Environment and Planning Committee to make a decision. The members.
Does somebody want to move it? Move, Councillor Smith. Hang on, no, we've got to get the debate going then. All right, I'll move it. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Right.
Um,
All right, thank you. Yep.
Sorry, and correct me if there's been a lot of reading, so correct me if I've read the wrong thing. So like it all, think it's great. I think it's got 10 voting community members and 4 councillor community voting members. So my only concern is getting quorum each time, because I know we get stuck or have previously gotten stuck without being able to have a quorum. So I don't want to reduce the 10. Well, I don't want to reduce the 10 members. It's just voting members I'm a bit concerned about. So I'm open to suggestions. I'm just genuinely very worried about having problems with quorum if
It was a council resolution that said this.
Yeah, the resolution of the 27th of July.
Said 10?
Yeah, said 10.
It said 10 voting or 10 members?
Just said councillor representative community with qualifications and experience.
So maybe we could have the 10 members only have.
We could have a smaller quorum.
Smaller quorum.
50% starting.
Well, 50% still means you need 5 community members to turn up, which sounds easy.
You did a total number and just divide it by 7.
Sorry?
You did a total number, the councillors and the community members.
Yeah.
That's 14 divided by 2. Of course.
Just have a quorum of 5.
Yeah, with at least one councillor present.
Yeah. It says at the moment, a quorum shall be the majority of councillor members and community representative members rounded up to the nearest whole number, so half plus 1.
So that would be.
It's 8.
Okay, look, I'm happy to see how it goes. I just think that in reality, you can end up with problems trying to get quorum.
Good.
Yeah. And did we want to, are we appointing chairs and councillor members at the ordinary meeting?
That's the way I saw it going, yes. Because this is a recommendation, it's still got to be accepted by the council. So I think that's the way it has to work.
This would not go to the council meeting until what, sort of maybe the January meeting? Similar? Yeah, okay.
All right, any further debate? All right, I'll put it to all those in favour. Carried unanimously. Okay, next one is the Heritage Workshop 310. Just the outcomes. Moving that, Councillor Castle.
Yeah.
I'll be seconded.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Did you move? Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm happy to move it. I think, I thought the workshop was run really well. It was fantastic to see so many people there, and also the great sort of dedication of staff resources on the day. I thought was excellent, and the facilitators did a good job too. We can't always say that, I have to say, but this time we
I agree, and the community were really enthusiastic and really happy to see it happen. So
Can I just ask? Oh, sorry. Part 5 says recommends one project be commenced by the subcommittee. Can I put at least one project? I realise there's probably limited capacity and it might only be one, but I just don't like restricting it to one project because it could be small, it could be large, it could be whatever. So could we say recommends at least one project be commenced by the subcommittee each financial year?
No, I'd be happy to accept that.
Yep. Okay.
Councillor Mellon, you happy with that?
I am.
Councillor McNamara is asking a question.
Thank you. Councillor McNamara, yes.
I was, but the motion appeared on the screen. Okay.
All right. Any
But there
further?
wasn't a motion earlier.
Okay. It was moved by Councillor Castle, second by Councillor Mellon. Yeah.
Oh, we should just put in thank you to the staff for organising the workshop. I think it's very good. Sorry. We have that as right. Well, no, see where it says 1, 2, and then a 3.
Happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Thanks the staff.
Thanks,
Thanks the council.
Thanks, staff.
Thanks, staff.
Bring to three.
Yeah. Yeah, can't put it until it's on the screen.
Thank you, staff, for weeks.
Yeah, I know, but remember there's a delay and
Yeah.
Go.
Should be it. Thanks, council officers, for all our efforts.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
The chair.
yes, okay, I'll put it then. All those in favour? Thank you, carried unanimously. Next item is 311, review of the Heritage Conservation Development Control. Councillors, I have made some suggested amendments to this, which the committee clerk should have.
Well, he made the recommendation.
Yeah, well, I am when we get it up. Yes, here we go.
Quite a few.
Basically two. I'll speak to it if I get a seconder. Councillor McNamara seconding, thank you. Oh, sorry, there was another change to C.
Yep. See. You didn't really expect that.
Yes, but also changed quite a bit on the advice that came from the director that he wanted to do it. I sent through another formal words, I thought.
Leave that.
Yeah. Sorry. Hang on. They're all on a string, so it's hard to figure it out. You find it?
No, I don't have it. We don't have it, sorry.
Yeah, heritage, you've got the one that should be B.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's it there on
And
the
then
screen.
then it's after that. Look, while we're trying to get the words right, I'll just speak to the reason for it. Yeah, so it's this part, after assessment of landscape.
See, that's fantastic. That we've replied to you on that.
Yeah, see. I'll give you the words.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So in respect to the first part, the section that deals with Aboriginal objects and places currently require a development application for garage, a pool, a shed, to do an AHIM search. I don't have a problem with that because that's just an online thing. And an assessment of the landscape by somebody rather to determine, despite that, whether there's Aboriginal objects and places. But I don't understand the point of doing even an AIM search when we're talking about small development. And there's something, this is not, by the way, in the Act. The only thing in the National Parks and Wildlife Act which deals with this is the penalty for disturbing Aboriginal objects, as you would understand. There is something in the Code of Practice that talks about disturbed land, and that this sort of stuff doesn't apply to disturbed land. So all I'm trying to do is clarify that for small developments, that is, and I've House lot size are 800 square metres or small or less, where the land isn't vacant. So for land where of 800 square metres or less, where there's already got development on it, you don't have to go through this process.
So it would be possible to destroy an Aboriginal artefact of some description with your amendment.
It's not going to happen anyhow. If you think it through, an AHIM search is not going to find anything on a house lot because it wouldn't have been developed already with the AHIM thing. And as an assessment of landscape, if it's already got a house on it, how can you assess the landscape? I mean, it's just
the case. Then what's the problem?
Because you're still requiring people to do it. It's a significant burden on what should be simple DAs. And they've still got the penal provision. So if they do happen to disturb something, then obviously a legal obligation to conserve it.
I think it's a thin end of the wedge, to be honest. I do have some concerns about that. I understand what you're saying, Chair, but you can have a situation which has been found on many, many occasions when artefacts of any sort are found, including ones related to Aboriginal heritage, where you can have a structure which gets removed for whatever reason, and underneath that structure you will find there are other artefacts. So I think this is, I can see where you're coming from, but I do think it's quite problematic and potentially means that we would be being derelict in our duty here, I believe.
That's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't explain the second part is, so currently if you do have to do this, you've got to do it, somebody has to do an assessment of landscape. And there's nothing in the current section that says who does that. And therefore it's open to interpretation that it must be done, for instance, by an elder, which is going to be very, very expensive.
Through you, Mr. Chair, is this above and beyond the Act?
Yeah.
Is this our council's additional?
Through the director, I sort of response to this, and the response quoted a section of the Act that simply deal with penalties. There's nothing in the Act that requires this.
Sorry, tell us again what the director.
Councillor McNamara is trying to get your attention.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Councillor McNamara.
Thank you. Disturbed land already, and if they got to go ahead with the Aboriginal assessment, how much does something like that add to a disturbed land cost?
Well,
you know,
I'll pass over to the director, but I mean, if it's an Aboriginal assessment, like it's an elder that's required, you're looking, around about $10,000.
Shannon, and maybe Deanne, do you want to just maybe if you could just answer that question, please?
Absolutely. So our understanding from our professional position is a requirement under the National Parks Act to undertake the assessment. There's only specific exclusions that apply, and those exclusions are very limited. So they, as set out in Part 6 of that National Parks Act, include work such as traditional cultural activities, emergency firefighting activities required under the Rural Fires Act, activities carried out in the State Emergency Rescue Act, works by or directed by authorised officers of OEH to protect or conserve Aboriginal objects, and anything specifically required or permitted under the express terms of conservation agreement entered into under the National Parks and Wildlife Act. So we don't believe there's discretionary opportunity to say.
That's right. The Act doesn't say you have to do any of this. Where in the Act does it say that?
Okay.
Not in the regulation. I looked at the regulation too.
Deanne, could you just answer the question about the costs, please?
So an AHIM search, to undertake an AHIM search is free. Anyone can go on there. It takes about a 10-minute exercise to do that search.
So anyone can do the assessment. Yeah, that's the answer.
No, it's the assessment.
I'm talking about somebody going out there.
So, sorry to clarify. So you're talking about doing the assessments, that anyone, the landscape assessments, that anyone can do that. You don't have to be a qualified person. You're just looking at distances, and so a mum or dad, any non-professional could undertake that
So
initial.
you're doing it on the computer. There's no one actually going on site to have a look at what's there?
So looking at the landscape assessment and doing the AHAM search, it will determine whether there's any sort of identified Aboriginal sites, and then for whether additional study has to be done. So there's also the generic due diligence process that's set out and sort of guidance, and that sort of all the different.
That talks about disturbed land.
Yeah.
Where's the exception for disturbed land?
Sorry?
Where's the exception for disturbed land? That's in that workflow document.
So if you're going to do any sort of disturbance, if you're going to excavate for a new garage, it doesn't provide any discussion on minimum sizes of which it applies.
So in other words, there is no minimum size.
Right. No, this is something.
Right.
No.
That's fine, vote against it. The Act does not require this. And I'll defy anyone to find me a section of the Act that does.
Maybe it's just then good practice.
Maybe, but then.
In an area that has significant Aboriginal heritage spread all over it that needs protection.
No, I understand you can say that. My view is that the burden is outweighed the risk many, many times.
Burden to look up at him and.
Yes, currently, as phrased, it's not clear who does the assessment. Now, the staff are now saying, oh, well, anyone can do it. It's not what.
So maybe that's a comment when it goes out. Isn't this going out on draft?
Yep.
So maybe that's a comment for submission, Councillor Eaton.
Maybe it is, but we don't have to put the draft out that we don't like. Councillor Milland.
You to Director Nichols. So I'm confused now. Is it above and beyond what the Act says, what we're asking for here?
Yes.
I've got.
Read the section of the Act.
Sorry, it's in dispute. The advice I've got from staff is that it is, and Councillor Eaton's view is that it is. And I don't know the answer, which one. Can't tell you that.
The section that you quote is simply the penalty section, and you can't get a penalty if you're in these certain circumstances. It doesn't say anything about having to go through this process.
Can we put the motion, please?
Oh, we're still debating it.
Well, it's not a debate. You have one view and the staff are providing different advice. I mean, I don't know.
That's a debate.
This is to be debated.
Yep.
Motion. Councillor Eaton, can you confirm what's in saying no? That's what you sent us, so we're.
So C should say, hang on, I've got to find it now. She should have said say, such assessment may be performed by any person without any particular qualification.
Want that anyone to take away?
Instead of instead of the words by town plan, etc., just put in those words. So it is such assessment may be performed by any person without any.
We'll take out the lower part, but is that correct? Yeah.
I'll move an amendment that was the original recommendation.
Okay.
Seconded.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, it's the original recommendation.
All right, and the bit. Sorry, sorry, that was amendment is by Councillor Smith with the second amendment. Mr. Walsh, thank you. Sorry, the bit that I didn't get to is also the demolition clause. So there's a complete, I mean, I don't understand why all this was rewritten, but I won't go there. The new demolition clause effectively prohibits any demolition in the sense that if you want to demolish something like.
Sorry, are you speaking?
No, I'm speaking to the bit I hadn't spoken to. Yeah, I'll let you speak, don't worry. But I thought you'd like to hear what the other part was that I explained yet.
Maybe not an amendment.
Yeah, but you'll get to speak to the amendment.
But we're now considering the amendment, not the original motion.
No, not yet. We'll in a minute. Give me a chance, Councillor Smith.
Work?
The new version, as I said, effectively prohibits demolition of heritage items, even if they're dilapidated, because it requires them to be, requires, if it's demolished, something similar in terms of heritage, style, etc., be rebuilt. So for instance, if you wanted to demolish Gosford old chambers, you'd have to rebuild another one in the same style. And I just can't understand that that's a reasonable proposition. In my view, what would happen if stuff that was falling apart, you just let it fall apart forever. So I don't see how that's a good step forward. But no, Councillor Smith.
No, don't need to speak to it.
Example, because we know that
Amendment.
No, it certainly isn't.
I mean, I would just make the point, we're putting it out on exhibition. I think, Councillor Ayton, that you can get some independent legal advice on your point and make a submission if you wish.
Staff need to get the independent legal advice. But anyhow, yes.
Oh,
Sorry, you're speaking to it.
no, move the amendment.
Yep, you've done that.
Seconder.
Yep. All right, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Walsh, Councillor Smith, Councillor Castles against. Councillor Eaton, Councillor Newland, Councillor McNamara. Amendment fails. So I'll put the motion there. All those in favour? For Eaton, Councillor McNamara against. Councillor Walsh, Councillor Castles. And Councillor Smith, the motion is carried. Thank you.
You, Mr. Chair, if we can get some clarification.
Yeah, I'll make sure that when we council with it, we'll have some answers for this.
Yeah, thank you.
But before, I think, remember, this only goes to.
It goes to exhibition.
No, but it's got to go to the council first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I would suggest get the advice before it.
We can do that. We can do it before it's to the January council meeting.
Yeah. Yes, go for it. Yes.
Broadcasting.
Yes. Amendment was declared lost on the vote. Motion was carried on the casting vote. But I think the only item we've got left is the kick vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mountain Road. No, we're not doing that.
I want to.
Well, so what I've got.
At the DA.
Yes. So there was a there was an amendment to that. You got that? Thank you. So that's what I suggested.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to clarify it, we can say, including.
Do we want to?
What you want?
No. That's what I had is that.
Yeah.
DA's assessment report. Given that.
But I was going to say, if you want to add to that.
There's a threshold.
Can we have an amendment that makes it clear?
Yes, I was going to say, if you want to add to that,
Yeah.
including all
Regional Central Coast, Hunter's Central Coast, but we want the Central Coast one, Central Coast developments, which, this is the wrong wording, but referred to the Hunter's Central Coast Regional Planning Panel. I think we should add that in just for clarity, because it was part of sort of what we're discussing before.
So including, so after over 5 billion, including all developments referred to the Central Coast Joint Regional Planning Panel.
Regional planning.
So can I?
But I think we only want the Central Coast ones. We don't want
the whole.
Central Coast Regional.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about? Over 5 million or under 5 million?
At any one time, there'd probably maybe be a couple of dozen floating around.
Couple of dozen under?
Over 5 million.
So predominantly it would be under 5 million?
You're talking the JERP ones or the general ones?
So there would probably be at any one time a couple of dozen applications, I think over 5 million, maybe not even that many. That's the over 5 million one. And then the regional planning panel ones, 15 to 20 a year.
Yeah.
Well, there's some clarity in that when the regional planning panel ones come, do you want them to be a list as we've just had this application lodged? It's a regional planning panel one that in 6 months will go to the panel, or would you prefer that it's at the point at which the assessment's been completed and here's the assessment report? That's one question.
I think that.
Well, you don't get much time then. You only get about a week, possibly 2 weeks.
So the operational procedures state that the panel are meant to deal with any matter that we refer to them within 14 days of us giving them the report. In which case it wouldn't give much time, and we can't give the report to councillors until the report's completed. So there is a time frame implication in that one. As what we could do is we could, when applications are lodged, put it on the list.
Yes.
And if it's something that councillors are interested in, we could bring it.
That's the way I saw it working, similar with the other 5 million, you know.
But we would have
If there's something interested in, then you'll, ask for more information.
Councillor Eaton, you're on the regional planning panel, aren't you?
Yes.
So how are you going to manage that? And where I'm going with this is, should that be a separate report? Surely you'll have to declare on those consideration of those matters by this committee. And
Possibly. Because remember, it's about to wind down.
Sorry?
It's about to wind down. But yes,
Yeah,
I would agree. If at the current moment, if the report came up with that, I'd have to.
Yeah.
Well,
Kind of regardless of whether it's winding down or not.
yes, I would be declaring.
So does that mean that should be a separate item on the agenda for that purpose? Just a procedural
Declaration.
It's only an information report at the moment, so I think it can all be one. To me, it makes more sense.
Give the room for it.
So that's okay.
Okay, all right. I reckon sounds good.
Yeah, you're in charge, I think, Councillor Smith, aren't you?
getting a step up. Yeah, but people believe in the room. It's
Hold on.
impressive.
All right, are we happy with that?
We're doing hard quiz.
Yeah.
So
But just mix them.
who wants to be on the record of moving it? Councillor Castle, you want to move that?
So it's after you went to the last sentence.
Councillor Walsh, sorry, was you?
Yeah.
Councillor Walsh moved, Councillor Merlin second. Oh, Councillor Matt, oh, yeah. Okay, all those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried unanimously. Thank you. I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you, everyone. Quicker than I thought it might have been, actually.
No, neither did I, actually. We did it.
I told my wife it'd be up by 30.
His turn.
Okay.
Apart from my first.
Oh.